Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Hanan Albab, and I'm from 7.3, and I'm one of the students from MSB Muslimat and Pucang Sidoarjo. And now, I'm here to present my presentation with the title of Efforts to Building Independent Learning through Independent Learning Character through Effective Time Management. And now, without further ado, let's get started. Now, the first slide that we'll be talking about is the background. So, building character is important. If you want to succeed in life and you want to deserve the future, and you want to achieve the future that you deserve, then you should start building your character immediately. Like, I don't care if you're young, if you're a teenager, if you're an adult, you must build your character immediately, right now. And if not, then you'll be stuck in the same endless loop, and you'll be trapped inside of your life that you have been living for years. Now, you don't want that to happen, right? And that's why building character is important. If we build our characters immediately, then it's the key to achieving success, and you can develop more further. And not only this, but it's I guess that's the important, and I guess that's the important part of why building character is important. Now, it depends on your choice. If you choose to build a good character, then you'll get a good future. If not, then a bad future. Now, if you're wondering, what character should I build? Now, I have one recommendation, and that is a character in building independent learning character through time management. Now, the reason for this is because that if we manage our time, then our life will become more balanced and feel better than before. And not only this, but we can actually do something more productive and actually become less dependent in using social media. Now, that might seem great, but the problem still lies in the halls. In this modern era, I've seen so many people that are still wasting their time over useless stuff that aren't worth it, such as excessive gadget use or social media. Now, if this is not immediately stopped, then this will affect our future and will change the future into a more horrible one. Not only this, but this will affect the young generations and could possibly brain rot and ruin their future as well. And now let's talk about our problem formulation, which is a question to our problem. So from the background above, the formulation of the problem can be drawn, and how do we build independent learning character through effective time management? And actually, I've connected 3 materials that connects with my title. So without further ado, it's time that we move on to discussion. One of the our first material is going to be English. So let's say if you are a normal citizen and you want to improve the world to becoming a better one. Now, the main reason is that you want to try and make everyone manage their time and do something more productive, but you don't know how. That's why persuasive text exists. Persuasive text has their main goals, and that is to persuade other people or readers into joining the writer's side and join their opinion. Now, if we apply this to the real world and we try on, let's say if you're in a speech contest and you're in front of people and you describe that you should manage your time, and actually do something productive, then some people could actually join your opinion and actually start managing their time rather than wasting their time over useless stuff. Now, here is an example of a text I made with no browsing, just pure intelligence. Now, this is an example that you should present to whether it's your friends, your family, or just the community. And it's time that we move on to the second material, which is math. Let's say if we build our characters will become more balanced and better, you know? Now, this is connected to our material, which is direct and inverse proportion. If we keep working and managing our time effectively in the process, then we can balance our time, and our life will become more calm. But if we only focus on one thing, which is something useless like excessive gadget use, that your future will, you're ruining your future at this point, and it will be called an inverse proportion. And oh yeah, the first sentence that I presented was a direct, because your life is balanced. If not, then it's an inverse because it's unbalanced. And here is an example of questions based on direct and inverse proportions that I've got from my textbook. And now it's time that we move on to our last material, which is social. Now, let's say you want to become an educational student, but you don't know how. That's why social institutions exist. The function of social institution is namely educational institution, has its own function, and that is to make students become more smart, intelligent, and have knowledge. And if we apply this, then they will actually start doing their projects more early and study and work hard, all to just achieve their knowledge that they deserve. And now here are all of the kinds of social institution, and that is family institution, educational institution, religious institution, economy, and lastly, politics. And now we are here to our final slide, and we've reached our destination. Now, this is where we talk about our conclusion. Now, based on this discussion about efforts in building an independent learning character through effective time management, the conclusion remains, we can conclude that we actually have 3 points from our materials, and let me talk about them. So for English, we must be responsible for our time, and prepare for our future. If by avoiding laziness or excessive gadget use, then our future will slowly become a more better and peaceful future. And for math, and as students, we should create schedules so that our life becomes more balanced, and you'll feel a little bit of calmness. And for social, since social institution exists, our main goal is that we must, as students, try to become more educational and become a more independent, smart, and knowledgeable student. Now, that is all for my presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, Hanan, thank you for your nice presentation. Your research entitled Effort to Build Independent Learning Character Through Effective Time Management. Okay, Hanan, talking about time management, in your opinion, what the strategy can you use to manage their time effectively?
Well, there are many ways on how to manage our time more, effectively. There are many ways, but I think I've got something prepared. By If we want to manage our time, then we should start creating schedules. Like for example, on time on for 2 minutes you work on your project, and then for 3 minutes you take a break. And if you apply this, if you apply this to your lives, then your life will become more balanced, and just just like it will become more balanced, and it will mostly, and nothing will probably distract or just disturb you.
So next question is, based on your explanation, what factors make students unable to manage their time effectively?
Pardon? Unable.
Yes, unable.
Oh, unable. There's probably an obvious reason for this. It's because that students nowadays are wasting their time over gadgets and social media. And I've seen a lot of students for 24 hours, they waste their time over useless things that aren't worth it for their future. And if they keep doing this, the younger generation will also have a horrible future like them as well. Is there any questions?
Okay, how can effective time management improve independence character?
Pardon?
What effective time management can improve your independent character?
Well, well, if we, well, if we, if we like manage our time more effectively, then our character will not just, then our character would not just only just stay like as usual, but it will rather improve, and actually you'll become more successful, and you'll be successful more quickly and easily. And not only this, but if we manage our time, we can also become more productive, and rather stop wasting our time over useless stuff that aren't worth it for our future. Any other questions?
Relate with your title. Have you performed tahajjud prayer 4 times a week?
Well, actually, can I tell the truth?
Yes.
No, sometimes I do. For a week, sometimes I do pray for tahajjud. Sometimes I don't. The reason for this is because I have a busy schedule, you know. I mean, I'm not just a normal kid. I'm not just a normal kid like everyone else, but I actually spend my time studying and reading my notes all about from the teacher that described the material.
Okay, and then how about online tadarus? Have you submitted online tadarus on time?
Well, actually, sometimes on time, sometimes don't. Sometimes I don't. But normally, actually, my mother is the one who usually submits all of the pictures of me doing tahajjud prayer. So the reason for this is because my mom normally turns off the Wi-Fi when it's 9 o'clock at night.
Okay. As we know that you are students of full day school, so how do you manage your time?
Well, like I said, I can make a schedule. So if I want to study for, let's say, 20 minutes, then I'll do what I wrote and study and read for 20 minutes. Then if there's enough time, then I can just rest or do something else rather than just studying. But not only this, but I think I have to start improving myself. Like if I usually study at night, which makes me sleep very late. Now I want to improve this by managing my time effectively and actually doing my schedule immediately.
Okay, the last question is based on the 3 subjects that you connected with your title. Can you mention the hardest and the easiest subject to connect with your research?
Well, I think it's obvious. For the first subject that I picked was English, which is the easiest because if we want to persuade people into managing their time, I can use a persuasive text. And for the hardest one is social institutions. Now, I don't really, actually, I do understand a little bit of social institution, but it's mostly complicated and hard to connect with my title. So I had to search up in the internet.
Okay. Can you close your presentation?
Okay. I think that's all for me today. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.